So chapter 24 is a relatively short chapter. We're only going to spend 2 lecture periods on it, and there's only a few sample videos that you have to think about. So it's probably an okay chapter to finish up just before our first exam. So 5 skills that we need to think about for this chapter. And again, there's really 2 main things that we're doing, but we'll think about 5 skills. Is qualitatively thinking about nuclear particles and what it means to undergo radioactive decay. We've spent so much time thinking about chemistry with electrons and bond formation and so forth, and now we're really focusing on particles that exist in the nucleus. And so kind of qualitatively understanding those, and then learning how to write nuclear equations for chemistry that happens with these nuclear particles. So those are the 2 first main skills. And then we move on to an introduction of kinetics and rate. And that's sort of why we take this chapter, which is chapter 24, almost at the end of the textbook, and why we move it where we do here, is it allows for an introduction to rate and kinetics before we move on to chapter 16, which is really a dense chapter on kinetics. And so we think about rate and kinetics and half-life in the context of this very simple sort of system in terms of nuclear decay. So we'll understand how to think about rate equations and half-lives and so forth, and then we'll sort of have some applications with that when we think about things like carbon dating and so forth. The last really skill, if we think about 5 skills, and it's not really a skill because it's not anything that you'll really be tested on, but we'll probably have a few minutes in the second lecture that we can kind of delve into some interesting applications of nuclear chemistry. So, we'll talk about things like transmutation, ionizing radiation in biological tissues, radon gas, radioisotopes as tracers, diagnostic and therapeutic nuclear medicine, difference between fission and fusion, nuclear power. And the main thing to think about here is that you guys are probably going to have to make decisions with your voting power at some point on some of these issues, or maybe it's a health-related issue, but it's important that you understand sort of how these things work so that you can make informed decisions.